everybody, it's Jarian. I'm back again, hitting you up with another video. Sorry I've been gone for so long, but I wanted to talk to you about George Floyd, the death of George Floyd, which everybody is talking about, is another case of an innocent black man unarmed being killed by a white police officer. And this happened on May 25th in Minneapolis. And I've heard so many stories about why the police was called on him. I heard first he had a counterfeit $20 bill, and then I heard he had wrote a bad check. And then the last story that I heard was that he came into the store to cash a $20 check, and the guys that were there working in the store thought it was suspicious, called the bank or called the owner of the check or who wrote the check out to George, and they said that they didn't write the check. So then they called the police on George. So then you see the video of George being arrested, handcuffs put on him, and then for some odd reason, Derek Chauvin, which is the white police officer, threw him down on the ground, put his knee in his neck, and sat on him for 8 minutes and I think 36 seconds, while George was begging him to let up, saying, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And then his nose began to run. Then everybody that's standing around is saying, "Man, let him up. Let him up. What are you doing? Let him up. He's telling you he can't breathe. Just pick him up and put him in the car." And then there were other officers around, I think like 3 or 4 other officers around, that just was standing there doing nothing. Nothing to say to their counterpart, their co-worker, saying, "Hey, let up. Let's just put him in the car." So you mean to tell me the other 3 officers that were standing around, and they include Derek, the 4 of them couldn't have picked him up off the floor, off the ground, and put him in the car instead of sitting there on his neck for 8 minutes and then killing him? And then the part that gets me is that Derek Chauvin, the white officer, had his hands in his pocket like it's nothing. Like, this is what I do. He was posing for the cameras, and everybody standing around like, "Get off of him." And he got his hand in his pocket like, "What's good?" So that's the part that I didn't understand. And also, after he was handcuffed, why he just didn't get put in the car? Why did he have to get shoved to the floor and sat on his neck, his airway, for 8 minutes? But it took a little while for them to arrest Derek Chauvin, which they have arrested him. They fired him, and him and 3 other of the police officers, they did fire them. Now Derek Chauvin has been arrested and charged with murder. And I've also been researching that his wife also has filed for the divorce, which she should have, because she shouldn't be living with somebody that could do what he just did to George Floyd. And so everybody's been in an uproar about everything that's been going on. They've been protesting in Minneapolis. They've been burning down the buildings. They've been protesting in the streets. And the only thing that President Trump has to say is, if you start looting, we start shooting, and I'm sending in the troops, which he has sent in the troops. And the troops have been arresting CNN reporters, taking them to jail, which the CNN reporters have been released. But why Donald Trump wasn't so speedy to bring in the troops or make a plan to stop all the black killings of our men, and especially being unarmed? He was so quick to call in the troops when they started looting and burning down all the white-owned businesses in Minneapolis, but he wasn't so quick to come up with the plan to stop all the killings by these police officers of these unarmed black men. So I just pray for the family of George Floyd and hope that God see them through this, because he was somebody's uncle, cousin. I don't know if he had kids, but it could have been somebody's dad, somebody's son, and it's just sad that we lost another guy to just a senseless killing that didn't have to be. And I also wanted to talk about situations that lead to this type of stuff. And I want to talk about, I know we've all heard about Amy Cooper, the lady that was in the park that didn't have her leash on the dog, and the black man approached her and said to that she needed to put her dog on a leash, and also as a as kindness, he offered her dog a doggy treat, and she flipped out. I don't know if she was offended by a black man telling her she needed to put her dog on a leash, or she was offended by him offering her dog a doggy treat, or exactly what she was offended by. But she told him, "I'm calling the police on you and telling them there's an African American man threatening me and my dog." So she called 911. "It's an African American man threatening me and my dog. He's threatening to harm us." And she's getting louder on the phone, and she's telling these lies. And I'm glad that the man was recording this, because if he hadn't, this could have been another case of an innocent, unarmed black man being killed by the cops. Because Kellyanne want to call the police and tell a lie on this man, knowing as soon as she say it's an African American man, the cops coming by plane, train, helicopter, 16 of them gonna jump out of a clown car just to attack this black man for absolutely no reason. So she has lost her job. They took the dog away from her because she was letting that dog have it. She was choking that dog. That dog was going crazy, like, "Girl, leave this man alone." And while he was jumping all around, she was choking him, strangling the dog. So she lost her job. She worked at this finance company. She was the vice president at this finance company. So she lost her job. She lost the dog. They took the dog away from her. The same company or organization that gave her the dog years ago, they took the dog back from her. And now she's saying that her life has been turned upside down and her life is a wreck now. But what if that man that you called 911 on would have died? You would have still been going to your 6-figure job, living your life while there was another dead man dead for no reason. Just because you felt some type of way because he wanted you to put your dog on the leash, which that's the rule in Central Park. And she is one of the reasons why these types of things keep happening, because these black men are getting the police called on them for absolutely no reason. And then to go back to George Floyd's case, and I've also researched that Derek and George knew each other from years ago, because they used to work at a club together that was across from the Minneapolis precinct. And Derek was the bouncer inside of the club, and the police officer was the bouncer on the outside of the club. And I don't know if they previously had beef while working there at the place, but it's come to find out that they already knew each other. And we have to do something about it. What can be done? I don't know. We can protest, but look what happens when we protest. Donald Trump sent in the troops. We can nicely protest, and it's still going to be somebody get arrested, get hurt, injured. Something has to be done to these officers that keeps killing our black men. And it's like, what do we do? How do we make it stop? Who do we need to contact? Who do we need to talk to get a rally going and to end this? Because they keep killing our men. And it could be our sons, it could be our fathers, it could be our brothers, but it has to come to a stop, because none of us want to lose a loved one to this senselessness that's going on. And then when they do it, it takes them so long to arrest the guys. Like, okay, they fired him from the job. He should have been arrested the same day, or once they reviewed them tapes, had him locked up. He just not getting arrested, I think, yesterday or the day before yesterday. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. So I just hope that everybody stays safe. Let's all try to come up with a plan, because it's sickening. It's hurtful. It makes you want to cry, because you don't know one day if it'll be your loved one on the other end of that knee or that bullet. So just all stay safe, stay prayed up. And another thing they were saying that the officers, every time this happens, the officers need to be trained on how to deal with us. I thought that's what they was trained on already, becoming an officer. So, but the thing is, no matter how much training you get, if you're crooked on the inside, you can't be straightened. So they can get all the sensitivity training they need to deal with citizens, but if they don't have a human decency on the inside, it's not going to show on the outside. because Derek Chauvin, that white police officer, should have had some human in him and put that police officer attitude to the side and said, this man can't breathe. Let me get off of him, and just put him in the car. So no matter how much sensitivity training you have, if they're crooked on the inside, they can't be straightened. So y'all stay prayed up, and I'll hit you guys back in another video. Bye.